Hallo en hartlik welkom. Hierdie week het 'n unieke geleentheid plaasgevind by die Rhebokskloof wynlandgoed by die Paarl in die Weskaap. Twee van die land se voormalige presidente het saam op die openbare verhoog verskyn by 'n uitgelese gehoor van sakelui. Te midde van 'n swart galligheid in die land oor trae ekonomiese groei, korrupsie, stakingsgeweld, diensleweringsbetogings, xenofobie, kragtekorte, waterbenaries en veel meer, het F.W de Klerk en Kgalema Motlanthe hulle ontleding gegee van die stand van demokrasie in die nuwe Suid Afrika van 21 jaar. Hulle het ook boodskappe van hoop gebring. Ons het die geleentheid opgeneem en wys dit net na die handelsnuus. En nou, oud-presidente F.W de Klerk en Kgalema Motlanthe oor 21 jaar van demokrasie en oor die toekomsvooruitsigte.
Suid-Afrikaners uit al ons gemeenskappe, insluitende baie lede van die ANC wat diep bekommerd is, moet verstaan dat die toekoms van ons nie-rassige, grondwetlike demokrasie in ons eie hande lê. Ons moet gebruik maak van al die magte en regte wat die grondwet aan ons gee, om ons nie-rassige demokrasie te verdedig. Ons moet gebruik maak van ons reg op vrye politieke aktiwiteit. Ons moet bewys dat daar ander, baie beter maniere is om 'n samelewing te bou wat gegrond is op gelykheid, geregtigheid en vryheid vir al ons mense. The ANC of today, with its partner, the SACP, is deeply mistaken if it thinks that there can be a successful future without the cooperation of all the important segments of the population and of the economy. The political transition, ladies and gentlemen, was a success, precisely because it was the result of genuine negotiations, of give and take, of compromises between all segments of our population. Yes, we need economic transformation. Yes, we need to bridge the gap between rich and poor. Yes, we need to improve the quality of life of the big percentage of South Africa's population who live under the breadline. We need to do all that, but we won't achieve it unless we implement the well-thought-through, well-consulted-about National Development Plan. Ek glo ons Suid-Afrikaners moet weer met mekaar in gesprek tree oor die beste manier om 'n samelewing te bereik. 'n Samelewing gebaseer op menswaardigheid, gelykheid, menseregte en vryhede. Die doel van so 'n diskurs moet nie wees om die grondwet te heronderhandel nie, maar om binne die raamwerk van die grondwet 'n weg te vind om geregtigheid vir almal te verseker, om gelyke geleenthede vir alle Suid-Afrikaners te ontsluit, om Suid-Afrika totaal te laat wegbeweeg van enige vorm van rassediskriminasie en om Suid-Afrika weer eens 'n baken van hoop te maak vir al sy mense.
The elements that set us apart from the rest of the continent are becoming fewer and fewer. In terms of skills, in terms of education, we have not corrected, particularly with regards to basic education for African child. We have not corrected that situation. But of course, as someone who was in government, I know that governments suffer from short-termism, because everything has to be done within 5 years. But we can't correct the weaknesses and flaws in basic education for the African child through a short-term program. And so we must once again tap into the consensus that defined the processes that were led by President Mandela and President de Klerk and leaders like Chief Buthelezi at the time of CODESA, so that we can equal these challenges. If we don't, our country will not be counted among the developing countries as a shining example, but it will be a basket case. And we must also be vocal about injustices and be vocal about acts of corruption so that in the spirit of our Constitution, we consolidate accountability. Because a society that has no accountability is one that invites anarchy. Respect for the rule of law, respect for the authority of the state, once lost, would be difficult to regain. And that is why we can't sit back and say, well, it's a problem of those in government. 1994 liberated all South Africans. The defining characteristic of South Africans is that you are activists and are not known to accept shoddy treatment. If you are treated poorly, you rise. And that, I think, is a guarantee that this democracy is irreversible. Because the price for freedom is eternal vigilance.
En nou gaan ons die geleentheid gebruik om met die twee leiers te gesels en 'n bietjie 'n paar vrae te vra na aanleiding van dit wat hulle vir ons gegee het. Ek wil graag by u begin, meneer de Klerk, en vra. U is nou betrokke internasionaal in hierdie Global Leadership Foundation waarby u self betrokke is. Wat sê die mense vandag van daardie wonderkind van 1994?
Dwars deur die wêreld waar ek optree, voor gehore in vraatyd. Regeringsleiers moet wie ek praat, kyk nog altyd op na Suid-Afrika en sê wat ons bereik het hier van 1990 tot 1996 is 'n voorbeeld wat gevolg kan word en behoort gevolg te word in areas wat nog steeds swaar kry as gevolg van voortslepende geweld en botsings wat oor geslagte heen kom.
Mr. Motlanthe, if you were president today and you had the power to do something now, what is it that you would change to make it a capable state?
Well, I would make sure that all the senior managers in all the departments of government stay in their posts a little longer. Let me tell you, Freek, there are two departments that I can vouch for that are stable in government. First is Treasury. The second is Science and Technology. And the reason for it is that the DGs in those departments have been there for a long time. And therefore, there's institutional memory, there's stability, there's clarity of purpose. All the others where there is a high turnover at senior management level, it impacts negatively on the rest of the bureaucrats in the department. I think as a country, we've got to say that for the state to be capable, we need to rope in the best available talent in the country, regardless. As long as some people are prepared to be professional bureaucrats, that's what should happen.
Regardless.
The best, regardless.
Mr. de Klerk, as you know, he said something about...
An apolitical civil service. That's what we need.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, regardless, yeah.
But Mr. de Klerk had some criticism of affirmative action as it is basically implemented today. Do you think it's really fair from him to say so?
So in my book, affirmative action is recognition of acquired skills. And I think if there's a section of the South African population which should understand affirmative action better than all other South Africans, it's the Afrikaner community. Because through in-house training in the parastatals, many Afrikaners were able to end up with diplomas and some even with university degrees. Because affirmative action means you affirm skills. You don't simply, rely on apartheid category of skin color.
Goed, meneer de Klerk, ja, wil je commentaar liever?
I believe in the necessity of balanced affirmative action, in the necessity of balanced black economic empowerment. But if it is not balanced with also recognizing experience, acquired skills, training, then it becomes unbalanced. Then it becomes mere cadre deployment on the basis of the color of your skin. And then it becomes discrimination as bad as it was in the days of apartheid.
Mr. Motlanthe, you said that the democracy in South Africa must evolve, but towards what? Do you have a clear picture in your own mind?
I have a clear picture in my own mind that we need to consolidate institutions. Because if the institutions are wobbly and weak, then the whole system won't work.
Institutions such as?
Chapter 9 institutions.
The public protector inclusive.
A public protector inclusive. In fact, more specifically, the public protector. And the judiciary must be independent. Because these are the checks and balances in a democracy. If you don't have these checks and balances, chances are that we would end up with being villains. I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said that, nearly all men can withstand adversity. But if you want to know the true character of a man, give them power. It is how you exercise power that actually tells us who you are.
Meneer de Klerk, u het gesê dit is tyd dat almal opstaan en dinge sê en doen en so aan. Sommige mense, soos Pieter Mulder sê, hy kan nie toi nie. Mens nou die dag gesien by Eskom hoe sukkel hulle om 'n paar danspassies uit te haal. Maar wat moet prakties gebeur?
Verkieslik moet die regering die leiding neem. Hy het die vermoë en die geld en die infrastruktuur om dit te doen, maar as die regering dit nie doen nie, kan ons nie in 'n hoekie gaan sit en huil nie. Dan moet ons die burgerlike samelewing behoorlik mobiliseer. Ons almal moet in die politiek belangstel, maar die burgerlike samelewing moet opstaan. Rondom die eiendomswetgewing is ons by die F.W de Klerk stigting saam met 'n hele lang lys ander organisasies besig om koppe bymekaar te sit. Hoe gaan ons hierdie komende basies onaanvaarbare pakket van wetgewing wat eiendomsreg sal ondermyn, hoe gaan ons dit hanteer? Hoe gaan ons weerstand daarteen bied? Hoe gaan ons 'n openbare diskurs daaroor stimuleer? Hoe gaan ons die howe gebruik daarvoor? Ons moenie sit en wag. Die regering, soos hy op die oomblik saamgestel is, gaan dit nie doen nie. Hy het sy besluite geneem en hy is in 'n wurggreep op die oomblik van COSATU, van die vakbonde en van die Suid-Afrikaanse Kommunistiese Party. Daarom moet ons van die grond af 'n rolmaalbeweging begin rondom die sake wat ons die meeste pla.
Mr. Motlanthe, referring to the points made by Mr. de Klerk also, do you believe that the National Development Plan has been overtaken by this democratic revolution?
No, on the contrary, I think the National Development Plan has not been communicated in a manner that would inspire the broadest cross-section of South Africans. Because you see, it's a tone. And people who are terrorized by reading tomes won't even go anywhere near it. Which means fewer people in South Africa actually have read it, and understand it.
You personally believe in it?
I believe in it. I believe in it. That is why I was referring to the capable state, because that's what it says. And that for us to have a capable state, firstly, the selection procedures, the appointments must be objective so that they enable us to rope in the best talents available in South Africa.
Intrinsically, what you're saying is that the implementation is not happening as it should.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Just a quick one. Do you believe there are too many rats under the bed of the ANC?
There are, because there's a dual membership. Let me tell you, the constitution of the ANC, you know, this alliance between the South African Communist Party and the ANC and COSATU, in the constitution of the ANC is covered in the rules that deal with offenses. That it is an offense for an ANC member to promote or act in concert with any party other than the one in alliance with the ANC. That's the only reference to the alliance in the constitution of the ANC. So there's dual membership. But, Freek, I would not really be unduly worried about...
the rats under the bed?
No. I want to explain why. You see, orthodox Marxism says that the contradictions of capitalism must be exacerbated. And so, if people take that literally, it means you must sabotage the economy, because we live in a capitalist economy. Yet, when you look at the accumulated disabilities, the issues that we still have to address as a country and as South Africans, we must actually find ways of making capitalism here in South Africa to work better, efficiently. And so the primary task, the important task, is to ensure that this economy works far much more competently and efficiently.
Meneer de Klerk, net so vinnige saakie wat redelik aktueel is nou, ons weet die hele stryd rondom Afrikaans in skole en ook op universiteite en dat dit waarskynlik tot die hof gedring sal word. Maar die redenasie wat kom baie duidelik van die ANC se kant af en ek dink in 'n mate het ons ook gehoor van meneer Motlanthe vanaand hoe ons eintlik almal Suid-Afrikaners is. Maar in die praktyk werk dit miskien nie noodwendig so nie, dan word die beskuldiging gemaak. Maar kyk, julle boere, al wat julle probeer doen is om die taal voor te hou as so 'n soort van bedekking van jou naaktheid, en die naaktheid is eintlik rasisme.
Nee, dis absolute nonsens. Jy doen nie 'n kind 'n guns as jy 'n kind laat leer in 'n taal wat hy nie behoorlik magtig is. Deur 'n onderwyser wat daardie taal nie behoorlik magtig is. Ek glo daar moet moedertaalonderwys wees vir diegene wat nie Engels volledig magtig is nie, ten minste in die geval van ons inheemse tale, ten minste vir 6 of 8 jaar. Dan sal die matriekuitslae anders begin lyk. Dan sal die benadeling van swart kinders as die inheemse tale hulle plek vind in die onderwys, sal die benadeling wat die huidige stelsel bring vir swart kinders omgeskakel word in meer geleenthede vir daardie kinders. Ons grondwet het ons ooreengekom dat vir diegene wat dit wil hê en waar dit prakties uitvoerbaar is, en solank dit nie op rassediskriminasie neerkom nie, is geregtig om in die taal van hulle keuse onderrig te word. Daar's 'n politieke agenda agter wat Dr. Blyden se man die doen, en dit het niks te doen met goeie, gesonde onderwysbeginsels.
Mr. Motlanthe, do you personally believe that there's an overreaction from Afrikaners in particular about the language and how it's treated at schools and at university?
Well, I don't think the language of Afrikaans is threatened. And remember, this is first language for many people in the Northern Cape as well as in the Free State and here in the Western Cape. I would have been very fluent in Afrikaans, but I had a teacher, you see, when I was at secondary school, who taught me Afrikaans here. And so he would ask us a question in Afrikaans, and when you give him an answer, he start off by saying, ja, nee, ja, totamate. Ja, maar ik denk je praat boef. CML's, gamors. That's how we would respond. And so, otherwise I would be very fluent in Afrikaans. Yeah.
Baie dankie aan ons twee lezers, groot waardering. En baie dankie ook aan julle by die huis.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dit was dan twee presidente aan die woord. Dankie dat julle saam gekyk het. Jy kan altyd aan ons skryf met kommentaar of voorstelle na robinson@actueel.tv of kontak ons op Facebook of Twitter met die adres by Freek Robinson. Goed gaan, tot ziens, alles van die beste.